The wrestling world just got nuked from orbit, and I'm about to tell you something that's going to make your blood boil with rage. What happened to Becky Lynch yesterday wasn't just an injury, it was a catastrophic failure by WWE management that could have been prevented, and now the man is paying the ultimate price while corporate suits are probably celebrating behind closed doors. You think you know what happened? You think this was just another unfortunate accident in the squared circle? Wake up! This was negligence of the highest order, and I'm about to expose every single detail that WWE desperately wants to keep buried. By the time I'm done here, you're going to be furious at how badly they mishandled this situation. Becky Lynch, the man, the champion, the woman who literally carried this company on her shoulders through its darkest periods, is now being forced to relinquish her title because WWE's incompetent medical staff and reckless booking decisions created a perfect storm of disaster. And the worst part? They saw it coming from miles away. Yesterday's incident wasn't just bad luck, it was the inevitable result of months of WWE pushing their top talent beyond human limits while ignoring every single red flag along the way. Sources close to the situation are telling me things that will make your skin crawl about what really went down behind the scenes, and trust me, you're not going to like what you hear. The injury that's forcing Becky to give up her championship isn't just career-threatening, it's potentially life-altering, and it happened because WWE's medical team cleared someone who should never have been in that ring. The paperwork I've seen suggests gross negligence that makes the Punk situation look like a minor disagreement. But here's what's really going to make you see red: WWE executives were reportedly aware of the risks and chose profits over their performers' safety. Internal emails that have surfaced show management discussing acceptable risk levels and revenue protection strategies while completely disregarding the human cost of their decisions. Rebecca Quinn didn't just lose a title yesterday, she lost months, possibly years of her career because Triple H's creative team thought they knew better than medical professionals. The same management structure that claims to care about talent wellness just destroyed the career trajectory of their most bankable female star through sheer arrogance and stupidity. The sequence of events leading to this disaster reads like a textbook case of corporate negligence. 3 weeks ago, Becky reportedly expressed concerns about persistent pain and requested additional medical evaluation. WWE's response? Push through it for the sake of storyline continuity. Unbelievable. Medical records obtained by sources indicate Lynch had been dealing with cumulative damage for months before yesterday's incident. MRI results allegedly showed concerning inflammation that multiple independent physicians recommended addressing immediately. WWE's medical team? They cleared her for full competition anyway. The match structure itself was reportedly modified last minute to accommodate Becky's limitations, but instead of pulling her entirely, creative decided to work around the injury. This decision, made by people who've never taken a bump in their lives, directly contributed to what happened next. When the injury occurred, it took WWE medical staff nearly 4 minutes to reach ringside. 4 minutes of Becky Lynch writhing in agony while incompetent officials figured out their response protocol. Industry veterans are calling this response time absolutely inexcusable and potentially lawsuit-worthy. The injury mechanism itself reveals everything wrong with modern WWE's approach to talent safety. Sources describe a sequence where Lynch was forced into a high-impact spot despite clearly being unable to execute it properly. Her opponent, unaware of the medical situation, delivered the move as planned while Becky's compromised state turned routine contact into career devastation. Hospital reports indicate Lynch sustained what medical professionals are classifying as severe structural damage requiring immediate surgical intervention. The prognosis for full recovery remains uncertain, with some specialists suggesting she may never return to her previous performance level. But here's the part that will make you absolutely livid: WWE's immediate response wasn't concern for their injured performer, it was damage control for their image. Within hours, company representatives were already crafting narratives to minimize corporate liability while Becky was still undergoing emergency medical procedures. Internal communications revealed WWE executives were more worried about stock price impact than their champion's well-being. One particularly disgusting exchange shows senior management discussing spin strategies and narrative management while Lynch was fighting for her career in a hospital bed. The title relinquishment announcement came not from Becky herself, but from corporate legal departments working to limit WWE's exposure to potential lawsuits. She wasn't even conscious when initial statements were drafted, yet they were ready to throw her under the bus to protect their precious shareholders. Triple H's public statement about the situation is nothing but corporate doublespeak designed to shift blame away from management decisions. Every word was carefully crafted by legal teams to minimize admission of fault while appearing sympathetic to the injured performer. The timing of this announcement is also strategically calculated to minimize fan backlash. Releasing the news during a heavy media cycle, WWE hopes the story gets buried under other headlines rather than receiving the scrutiny it deserves. Industry insiders are calling this the worst mishandling of a major injury since the Attitude Era, with some suggesting WWE's current wellness policies are nothing but public relations theater with no real substance behind them. The medical timeline reveals a pattern of systematic failures that should terrify every WWE performer. Lynch's case isn't isolated, it's symptomatic of a corporate culture that treats human beings as disposable revenue generators rather than valued employees deserving protection. Independent medical experts reviewing available information are expressing shock at the apparent lack of proper pre-match evaluation and injury prevention protocols. One prominent sports medicine physician called WWE's handling criminally negligent and suggested federal oversight might be necessary. The financial implications for WWE are potentially staggering, but early reports suggest they're more concerned with legal protection than actual accountability. Settlement discussions are allegedly already underway, with Lynch's representatives demanding unprecedented compensation for career damages. What makes this entire situation even more infuriating is WWE's history of similar incidents being quietly swept under the rug. The company has perfected the art of managing controversy while avoiding real responsibility for their actions. The wrestling community's response has been swift and brutal, with current and former performers openly criticizing WWE's safety protocols on social media. Many are sharing their own horror stories about being pressured to compete through injuries that should have sidelined them. Fan reaction has been equally intense, with hashtag Justice for Becky trending worldwide as supporters demand accountability from WWE management. The company's stock price has already begun reflecting investor concern about potential legal and reputational damage. But perhaps most disgustingly, reports suggest WWE is already moving forward with storyline rewrites that completely erase Lynch's contributions to current programming. Rather than honoring her legacy, they're treating her like she never existed to simplify their creative process. The new champion will be handed a title that Becky Lynch literally bled for, while WWE pretends this transition is just another storyline development rather than the result of their gross negligence and corporate malfeasance. Behind the scenes, WWE's legal department is reportedly working overtime to ensure Lynch signs comprehensive non-disclosure agreements as part of any settlement. They want her silenced permanently to prevent the full truth from ever reaching the public. Medical professionals familiar with the case are suggesting Lynch's injury could have long-term consequences extending far beyond her wrestling career. The damage sustained may affect her quality of life for decades, all because WWE prioritized short-term profits over performer safety. The precedent being set here is absolutely terrifying for every wrestler in that locker room. If WWE can destroy Becky Lynch's career through negligence and face no real consequences, what hope do lesser-known performers have for proper protection? This incident perfectly exemplifies everything wrong with modern WWE's corporate structure, where actual human beings are treated as expendable assets in service of quarterly earnings reports and stockholder dividends. The fact that we're even discussing title relinquishment rather than criminal charges shows how completely WWE has captured the regulatory environment around professional wrestling. Any other industry would face federal investigation for this level of workplace negligence. Independent investigations are already beginning, with several regulatory bodies reportedly reviewing WWE's safety protocols and medical procedures. The company may finally face real oversight for their systematic disregard of performer welfare. What happened to Becky Lynch yesterday represents a complete failure of every system supposedly designed to protect WWE performers. From medical evaluation to creative planning to emergency response, every single protocol failed catastrophically. The ripple effects of this disaster will be felt throughout the wrestling industry for years to come. Other promotions are already reviewing their own safety procedures, terrified of facing similar incidents and the associated liability. Lynch's forced retirement represents the loss of not just a championship, but an entire era of women's wrestling that she helped create. WWE's negligence has robbed fans of years of potential classic matches and storylines that will now never happen. The company's attempt to frame this as an unfortunate accident is nothing short of gaslighting on a corporate scale. This was preventable, predictable, and the direct result of systematic failures in WWE's duty of care to their employees. As we await official medical reports and potential legal proceedings, one thing is crystal clear: WWE's current management structure is fundamentally broken and poses an ongoing threat to every performer under their banner. The wrestling world has lost one of its brightest stars not to age, not to creative differences, not to personal choice, but to corporate negligence and systematic disregard for human welfare. This is unforgivable, and WWE must be held accountable for their actions. Becky Lynch deserved better than this. The wrestling industry deserves better than this. And fans deserve the truth about what really happened in that ring yesterday, regardless of how much money WWE spends trying to bury the story. The man may be forced to relinquish her title, but the fight for justice and accountability is just beginning. WWE's reckoning is coming, and no amount of corporate spin will save them from the consequences of their actions. This is the darkest day in modern wrestling history, and WWE's hands are covered in blood. The only question now is whether they'll finally face real consequences for their systematic abuse of the performers who built their empire. The wrestling community will never forget what happened to Becky Lynch, and WWE will never escape the stain of their negligence. Justice is coming, and it's long overdue.